A dorky accordionist and a jock forge an unlikely alliance to help each other win the affection of their ultimate crushes. As longtime neighbors, a geeky musician Ryan Woodman and his brainiac and kind-hearted best friend Maggie Carter ride together to school. While on the road, they talk loudly about their previous night's adventures. With enthusiasm, the charming teen shares her thrilling experience from the previous evening at a nightclub where she had the chance to meet her favorite band. Meanwhile, the driver shares that he picked up his crush in a luxurious car and had a romantic dinner with her. Suddenly, the best friends burst into laughter, realizing their stories were fantasies. Maggie then confesses she watched TV and put together a mixtape the previous night. Meanwhile, Ryan shares that he just played his accordion. Upon reaching school, the brainy teen advises her best pal about his obsession with the campus crush. She suggests that the popular teenager has a wide circle of admirers and warns the musician that he might end up heartbroken if he pursues her. While they converse, Ashley Grant, the subject of the accordionist's affections, arrives, immediately capturing the spotlight and everyone's attention. As Ryan and Maggie enter the school hall, their geeky friend Floyd joins the group and shares his sentiments about missing everything during the upcoming summer break. Meanwhile, star athlete Chris Campbell, who happens to be the cousin of the popular girl, finds himself determined to win the brainiac's heart despite her previous rejections. While strolling through the school hallway, Ryan accidentally collides with Ashley as she's applying lipstick in her locker. He quickly apologizes, but she misinterprets it as insulting her mouth. Witnessing the popular girl's walkout, Floyd playfully teases Ryan for not being good with women. During the school assembly, students assemble to listen to a talk about reproductive health delivered by the school nurse, Mrs. Katie Woodman, who is also Ryan's mother. As the geeky friends find their seats, Chris attempts to block Maggie's path, playfully asking her for a kiss so she can pass. The intellectual teen responds with a playful threat, suggesting she might kick him in the face. Once the dorky trio settles into their seats, the school nurse takes the stage and begins discussing the importance of teenagers using contraceptives during intimate moments. Suddenly, Ashley, seated in the front row, glances in Ryan's direction and extends an invitation to her house, leaving the accordionist flustered. However, it becomes evident that she's talking to Chris, who declines her offer due to his prior commitment. After the presentation, the trio heads outside, and Floyd expresses his desire to become the next Virgil Doolittle, a former school prankster expelled for stealing the campus statue's neck. That night, Ryan plays his instrument on his bedroom balcony, across from his best friend's room. Suddenly, Maggie appears and mentions that she has no date yet for their upcoming prom, leaving her to invite him to be her date. Upon hearing this, the geek approves and promises to be his best buddy's partner in the event. At their baseball practice the next day, Floyd shares with Ryan that Maggie had told him about their prom date. While the catcher remarks that their female friend is a fine woman, the batter clarifies that his relationship with his best friend is more like that of siblings. While they're in the middle of their conversation, the coach unexpectedly tosses the ball, catching the inattentive accordionist off guard and causing him to miss, resulting in the ball hitting his head. Seeing this, the gloved player rushes to assist his friend in getting back on his feet. After their baseball practice, Floyd takes Ryan to the storage room, where they give the maintenance staff $30 to gain access. The man then escorts the geek to the door that leads to the girls' locker room. While hiding behind the trophy area, the accordionist discreetly peeks through the window, giving him a glimpse of his crush taking a shower. Suddenly, the PE teacher calls the teenage girls, quickly forcing the curious observer to find another hiding place. However, upon entering that room, he unexpectedly encounters Chris, leading him to a hasty and defensive retreat. However, the jock catches up to the geek and asks about Maggie, revealing his desire to invite her to the prom. The self-absorbed athlete then proposes a plan. He offers to help Ryan win Ashley's heart on the condition that the musician reciprocates by guiding him in pursuing his brainiac best friend. Upon accepting the star player's proposal, the accordionist confides in Floyd and their fellow nerdy friend Cosmo about the potential for him and his crush to connect with the baseball player's assistants. In the school nurse's office, Ryan, with Chris's assistance, sends a hurtful email to Ashley using his mom's computer. The email includes a comment about how her hair looks butch. When the geek reads the unkind message, he expresses his frustration, pointing out that he had previously assisted the jock in composing romantic emails for Maggie. However, the self-centered guy insists that being mean is a guaranteed way for the accordionist to capture the campus crush's attention. Afterward, Chris introduces Ryan to some girls and extends an invitation to Ashley's house party, encouraging the geek to bring Maggie along. During the night gathering, the accordionist notices his crush looking stunning in her attire. Shortly after, the jock suggests that the geek should approach his cousin and converse with her while he talks to Maggie. However, when Ryan confesses to Ashley that he is the sender of the rude email, an angry Ashley retaliates by pouring her drink on his clothes. Meanwhile, Chris sits beside Maggie and admits that he was the one who wrote her the poetic letters. Shortly after, he makes an inappropriate advance toward her, leading the disheartened teenager to leave him promptly. Subsequently, the musician confronts the jock about the unsuccessful plan. However, the self-absorbed athlete advises him to persist in being rude to his cousin, as he believes it's the only way for her to develop an interest in him. Seconds later, Chris pushes the geek towards Ashley, causing her to fall into the pool. As the popular teenager struggles to stay afloat, she angrily curses her admirer. Picking up the jock's tricks to be rude to women, Floyd attempts to impress some girls by lighting a firecracker, but it goes awry and damages their clothing. Consequently, the teenage girls label him a loser, spreading the word to everyone. After the pool incident, Ryan confronts Chris about their plan. However, the jock reassures him that it's working because his insecure cousin got conscious of the email and has asked him about her butch-looking hair 20 times. When the geek argues that he doesn't want to be rude to his crush, the self-absorbed athlete suggests that he can assist Ryan in becoming the special guy for Ashley. However, in return, the accordionist should help him become the special guy for Maggie. Upon returning home, Ryan employs his laser to get his best friend's attention, as she had left the party earlier than him. He attempts to boost the jock's image to his friend and persuades her to consider responding to Chris's poetic emails. On the subsequent day, the jock informs the musician that Maggie has sent him a soul quiz featuring questions about books, movies, and music. The accordionist suggests that the athletic teen should complete the quiz to demonstrate his shared interest with the brainiac teenage girl. When Ryan expresses concern that Ashley hates him, Chris reassures him that his mean act impacts him because she's becoming curious about him. Subsequently, the musician assists the star athlete in completing the soul quiz since he knows the correct answers. However, as the geek composes the email, the jock seems disinterested and continues with his weightlifting. In the arcade, Ryan catches up with Maggie and inquires about the soul quiz she sent Chris. The oblivious teen then mentions that the jock excelled at the test. However, she adds that she finds him too attractive for her liking. Upon hearing Maggie's comments, the musician encourages his best friend to take a chance and try on a double date together. Meanwhile, Chris convinces Ashley to accompany him to connect her with the accordionist. On the night of the date, Maggie decides to back out at the last minute and intends to let the jock know through a phone call. Thinking fast, the geek calls the athletic teen and guides him on what to say to ensure the date doesn't get cancelled. However, when Ryan's line accidentally connects to Maggie's, the musician seizes the opportunity. He pretends to be the jock and, with the help of his soundboard, adjusts his voice to match Chris's perfectly. Then he proceeds to say something sweet, showing that he's attentive to the small things the intellectual teen does, like biting her lip when she's nervous. Eventually, she feels flattered by the romantic words and agrees to proceed with a double date. On that night at the carnival, Chris recommends that Ryan be mean to Ashley, whereas the accordionist encourages him to be considerate towards Maggie. Soon after, they all hop on a spinning ride. Unfortunately, the campus crush gets sick and barfs on her date. Consequently, the musician has to spend money on buying a Furby shirt to replace his soiled one. After dropping Ryan and Maggie off at their house, Ashley makes a flirtatious gesture toward the geek, indicating that the jock's plan has worked. However, when Chris attempts to make a move on Maggie, she simply shakes his hand. Once she gets out of the car, the brainy teen confides in her best friend, sharing that she doesn't have strong feelings for the jock because he doesn't seem to have a genuine and caring heart. The next day in health class, Ryan shares Maggie's perception that Chris may not appear authentic enough. In response, the jock tells the musician that Ashley didn't share something about him. However, he reassures that he'll help make him look good in their upcoming touch football game, especially since his cousin will watch. Before leaving the classroom, the geek confides in Chris about Ashley acting differently the previous night. However, the jock assures him that Ashley's actions, including inappropriate gestures and vomiting, were because she genuinely likes him. Ryan hesitates to continue playing as they face muscular opponents during the game. However, when he notices the campus crush looking at him with admiration, he feels motivated and determined to continue with the play. Later, after being pinned down on the ground by more prominent players, Ashley approaches Ryan and compliments him on a great game. She then asks him to pick her up the following morning. Shortly after, the star athlete reminds the musician of their agreement, urging the geek to assist him in winning Maggie's heart, since he has already done his part for him and Ashley. In keeping with his promise, Ryan takes Chris to the nursing home where Maggie volunteers. With the accordionist's guidance, the jock pretends to enjoy helping older people genuinely, bringing a smile to the student caregiver's face. He also kindly offers her a ride when she mentions that she's going to a school theater after her duty. While working on the stage props, the brainy teen suddenly asks the jock why he's so interested in her because they don't seem to make sense as a couple, with Ryan secretly assisting him from the sidelines. Chris replies that the best things in life often don't make sense and suggests that being with her could help him become a better and more grateful person. As Maggie switches on the studio light, the beam highlights her, and Ryan can't help but notice how stunning she looks. When the star athlete echoes the sentiments the musician expressed earlier, the intellectual teen feels flattered, leading to their long-awaited kiss. Watching this scene unfold, the geek experiences heartfelt pain, realizing he has romantic feelings for his best friend. While cleaning his accordion that night, Ryan learns from his best friend that she has fallen for the jock. Shortly after, she longs for someone who could be as thoughtful and caring as the geek's dad, who played the accordion for his mom, a gesture she deeply admires. She then reflects on how fate played a funny hand, leading them to date people who appeared out of their league. Secretly hurt, the musician calls it a night and makes his way to his room. The following morning, Ryan picks up Ashley, who weirdly mentions that she waxed her legs. As they approach a stoplight, the campus crush spots the musician's other geeky friends on the opposite side of the road. In response, she quickly retrieves her sunglasses, indicating her discrimination against her schoolmates, whom she considers losers. Upon arriving at school, the couple holds holds hands, drawing the attention of those around them. Before heading to class, Ashley tells Ryan she's excited about what they have planned for that night. Later at the cafeteria, Ryan approaches the popular kids' table with his other geeky friends, where he finds Maggie sitting with them. When the campus crush starts to ignore him because he's with his dorky friends, he tries to impress her and gain her approval, even if it means humiliating his friends. As a result, Floyd and his friends leave the cafeteria. When Ryan goes after his friend in the school hall, the other geeky teen feels offended and tells the accordionist that he has crossed the line. Shortly after, Maggie follows and advises her best friend that what he's doing isn't worth it, just to gain Ashley's attention. That evening, Ryan and Ashley enjoyed dinner at an expensive restaurant. While sitting at the table, the campus crush attempts to make a romantic move on her date, but accidentally kicks him in a sensitive area. After placing their orders, she offers him a comforting rub to alleviate the pain. Meanwhile, while spending time with Chris and the other cool kids at the beach, Maggie feels out of place. Following dinner, the couple goes to the popular teen's home to spend the night together. While Ashley is in the shower, Ryan patiently waits for her in bed. However, when she finally joins him, she surprises him by showing her rash-covered feet. Later, as they begin to get intimate, Ashley starts to ponder whether Chris and Maggie have already slept together. She then discloses the jock's pattern of abandoning women after getting what he wants, implying that she believes the same fate may await Maggie. Observing that the accordionist has suddenly lost interest, the campus crush interrupts their intimate moment and proposes that they pick it up another time. Meanwhile, Chris and Maggie passionately kiss while watching a movie in the theater. The following day, Chris informs Ryan that their movie date was successful, suggesting that he and Maggie might become intimate soon. Shortly after, the musician tries to find his best friend but can't find her because she's gone and spending time with the jock. The day after, while eating at a restaurant with Ashley, the campus crush expresses her dislike for the cake. In response, Miranda, the waitress, who is also their schoolmate, offers to cover the cost to rectify the situation. However, behind the server's back, the popular teen inappropriately calls her schoolmate a loser. As a result of this rude attitude, the accordionist ends the relationship. During practice, Ryan inquires with Floyd about Maggie's whereabouts, but Floyd refuses to answer because he's still upset with Ryan for the cafeteria incident. That night, the musician spots his best friend across his bedroom trying on a gown for prom. When the brainy teen asks her best friend if he thinks Chris will like her dress, the concerned accordionist questions her about whether she's genuinely sure about him. When Maggie appears confused by his inquiry, Ryan finally comes clean. He admits to helping Chris win her heart in exchange for assistance with Ashley. He reveals that he wrote sweet emails, advised the jock to volunteer at a nursing home, and even confessed to being the real one who told her she was beautiful in the theater because he had feelings for her. Upon learning this, a tearful Maggie expresses her frustration, stating that Ryan can't sabotage her relationship because things didn't work out with Ashley. She calls him a liar and shuts the door on him. The following day, the campus crush is at home, crying due to the breakup, with her friends attempting to console her. Later, she pleads with Ryan to still take her to the prom and goes to his front yard wearing a bathing suit to convince him. On prom night, Chris and Maggie ride in a limo with their friends on their way to the school. Meanwhile, Ryan picks up Ashley from her home. During the event inside the school gym, the accordionist can't help but steal glances at his best friend, who is dancing with the jock. In an attempt to create a scene, the accordionist volunteers to go on stage and play a romantic song for Maggie, causing Ashley to feel betrayed. In response to her best friend's gesture, the brainy teen nervously smiles, implying that she feels flattered. Meanwhile, Floyd pulls on a prank to achieve his dream of being Virgil Doolittle. He sabotages the event by opening the school floor and revealing the pool beneath it. This incident prompts the students to push each other into the water playfully. When Ashley gets pushed into the pool, she tries to ask for Ryan's help. However, the accordionist jumps into the water to chase after Chris and Maggie, who will head to the hotel. When Ryan reaches outside, he sees the police and informs them that Floyd is responsible for the prank. Surprisingly, the other geek appreciates the gesture, as it turns out that his arrest boosts his popularity, much like what happened to his idol, the former prankster Virgil Doolittle. Subsequently, Ryan drives a limo heading to the hotel, only to discover that Ashley has sneaked into the back seat. Meanwhile, Chris attempts to lead Maggie into an intimate moment. Later, the brainy teen uses a scarf to tie the jock to the bed before applying oil on his body. Upon reaching the hotel, Ashley pushes Ryan to an empty room to allure him. However, he shuts down her advances to continue looking for his best friend. To verify if Ryan is telling the truth about Chris, Maggie tests him by asking detailed questions about her favorite book. When he provides a wrong answer, she removes his eye mask, gags him with cloth, and takes a picture of him in his helpless state. She then leaves the room and shares the Polaroid with the other students. Meanwhile, following Floyd's arrest, the sheriff takes him to a secluded spot in the woods and instructs him to dig up a sack containing something. The sheriff then attaches his name tag to it and leaves the prankster there, telling him to contemplate his future. As the rascal checks the identity card, he realizes that the sheriff is his idol, Virgil Doolittle, and the sack contains the missing neck of a statue on the campus. With no signs of Maggie in the hotel, the accordionist returns home and tries to reach his friend there. When she doesn't respond to him, he leaps over to her balcony, allowing him to ruin the makeshift covering and finally see his best friend. After hearing her best friend's apology, Maggie expresses how hurt she is that he deceived her and led her to join a crowd she doesn't belong to. In response, Ryan asserts that she belongs to him. Following the sweet remark, the two draw closer and passionately kiss. As dawn breaks, Floyd fixes the statue by reattaching the neck, but intentionally putting the head on backward.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.